Welcome back everyone to another digitizing tutorial. I'm Britta Sanders from ZSK, and today I will show you how you can digitize for the Bead device. So like you see here already, it looks a bit like the sequin device. That's how you can also think for the digitizing. The EPC will also provide you an automatic program where everything is preset, and I will show you this in the following minutes too. If you afterwards have any questions, let me know on the webpage or send me a comment below or meet me on the exhibitions.
Right, let's have a quick look at the device here. You see they come on a wire, so that means for us, compared to the sequin, which is flat, depending on how you fix the bead, it will fall into a certain place. So you can define the end result with the kind of stitches. How, I will show you in the next minutes. Here I already started with the design. I did some digitizing with needle 2, 3 and 4, and needle 1 will be used for my bead device. Now before I start digitizing for this, I have to first set and define the size and shape of the bead. Now when you do this, I would recommend go get the full package of beads, do a few measurements, see how much they vary in size. It really depends on the production, how good a quantity or lot is. If we then define the size, normally it's 2.6 millimeters. You go into the design head, and I first set here, it's on my right hand side because I left needle number 1. I define the size, 26/10 of a millimeter. I could pick the color here. I will have them probably in some spring rosy color. Definition of sequin and beads. I have a bead device and I have a twin bead device. They're already 26/10 of a millimeter, but of course they are not flat like a sequin, so I have to go here into the extended menu. We put the height here, size and Y direction to, I think mine are like 19. Hold size you can double check, mine are like a millimeter. Okay, same one, double check here, this to 19. Okay, once again, and now these settings are saved. So make sure you always do this in the first place so you can double check if no stitches destroy your beads and if they're placed okay. Let's go to the digitizing then. I go to punching here, and right now I'm on needle 3. I have to be on the needle with the bead device. In my case I press F12 and I say first go to needle number 1. I will just randomly try and divide some beads here. So I start now here and fix my thread. F12 again, and I activate my sequin device here. This is actually where the bead is hidden. So far it's called sequin device. Okay, now it's active, you see here on the right hand side. Like I said, there are different ways to place the bead. So the first type is actually where you see the bead from top, like you see here in this example. Basically the stitch would simply go like a normal seam in the bead and out of the bead again. If you choose type 2, it actually will place them downwards and they're standing up, like you can see here in this example. Also here. In this case the stitches actually come from the side, go over this bead and once again forward. So the third type, they're actually laying down. Like you see here in this example, they lay all along the running line. Those you actually digitize more or less like a hanging sequin. I will further show the details in a moment. Right, let's head back to our example here. I see here on the right hand side my bead device is active. And I will go now to F11 program selection, and we have here our sequin program. Sequin Online it's called so far, but it also contains the beads. So I now freehand start drawing a line. Right, confirm. Select endpoint to the end of the line. And it starts to calculate. Now I'm back in menu punching. I want to change my settings, so I press backspace or delete on my keyboard. That brings me a step back and I'm right in the object editor of the last program. All the parameters of all the EPC programs are actually hidden under the F8 in the object editor. So I press F8 and I see here that I have sequin activated. I want to have beads. I can actually give this a name. I call this beads. And here you already see the 3 different stitch types. So I will maybe place them here vertically along the running line. And you might, if you already know the sequin device here, know these parameters. So the space in between each of the beads. Let's try with this. Without rest means I will spread it along the entire line, and if necessary, the space between them will be changed. Also at the corners, there will be exactly a bead placed with a stitch at the corner. This overstitch value here decides if you stitch in the bead or not, so this can massively influence your bead quality, if you have them flying away or if they actually stay in place. The intermediate stitch length is for the pickup stitches in between. Let me put them a bit bigger and smaller together. The stitch length of the pickup in general I put to 2.5 mil. I say okay, enter, and it will be recalculated. You see that the beads are actually, when they are placing the bead, the stitches go around, so that it doesn't stitch in the bead again. Enter, and my settings are saved. Zoom out, 2.2 for my simulation. You see here that my beads are placed already. Right, the only thing where you have to pay attention is if you ever cross over a line like I have here or here, make sure that they don't stitch into each other. So I go to the editor F6. From my main menu, I click on the line, confirm. I don't want to have it attached to my cursor, so I say escape. And now my cursor is free again and I can make my adjustments. Okay, 5 to refresh. Okay, enter again. I go back to punching, escape to main menu and F8 for punching. And here's my last bead. I will do some fixing stitch, F12 switching off the bead, F12 again, I do some trimming, and I start at the next position. I do some more fixing again, F12, sequin on again, and this time I would like to use the other color. I press F9. And here I can change from now on to the different type in case I want to place them manually. Or you say, give me now the top bead. Activate this one. On the right hand side, you see now the other color is active. F11, sequin online program, and I start drawing again. Okay. Enter. Left mouse button to select my endpoint to the end of the line, and it will keep the settings of my former bead program. Backspace or delete to get back in the object, F8 for parameters, and now I want to change to the different type. Let's say I want to use this one here. Okay, no, I don't want to overwrite because I want to keep this former program like it was. So I say no and I put this to number 2. Enter, and you see now they are placed the other way along the line. Enter to confirm again, and fixing stitches. Switching off the sequin, F12 again to do some trim. So I just finished this one off here and did another additional line. And now assume I want to have some individual ones here. Yeah, and you want to place one single bead. Therefore we also have some setting for you. So do my fixing stitches here. Activate my sequin again, and I go once again on F9. Here, by the way, you always see what's active right now, what kind of type. I first of all want to have the bead number B again. I press again F9 and I say from now on I want to place with this type. Now, just like with the sequins, with a double click you place them. Do some fixing. F12 off again, F12 for trimming, and fixing on. My last setting is active, and 9 again. I want to place it this way this time, double click and then fixing again. F12, bead off, F12 trimming, type number 1, on again, F9. I want to pick this one now, double click. Right, let's have a look at the single fixing method. So I go into F6. And zoom in here to my manual beads. Let's have a look at type number 3. So this is basically like a hanging sequin. Yeah, the stitch goes in and goes out again. The only difference is the hanging sequin normally has a bit of an overlap. My fixing, jump, and again fixing. Here you see the second type, so it always comes from this side and fixes. Goes all the way around and fixing again. Jumping, fixing, Now this is the first type, which is basically like a standard seam, or the most simple way you would fix a standard sequin. So you go over and just place the bead here at this position. Actually, these individual placement of beads you only do if you don't want to have a thread in between, if you really want to place them bead by bead. So what I did here is I used a transparent thread, a monofile, and you wouldn't see the connection between the beads anyways. One more info here to these parameters. So we spoke about the overstitch value. Number 6 is what I would normally start with. Also, if you have different bead diameters, sometimes even the shape can vary, you should try and play around with this one. And this means basically how far this stitch here that goes out of the bead is away from the bead itself. So if it's too small, the needle actually hits the bead when you try to fix it. If it's too far away, it gets too loose. Yeah, this is one of the values I would always double check here. Right, this is basically all you need to know. Play around with the new features here. I hope you really enjoy the new bead device. I think it can add quite some nice effects to your existing designs. I thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next show. Until then, all the best. Happy digitizing and bye bye.